So tonight's episode is going to be in correlation to a segment that I will call Certified Music Society by Black Men in Suits. What Certified Music Society is me discussing how music has impacted us as a culture, and most importantly, how has it affected us as men, and how we see the world. So, in my segment tonight, Certified Music Society, I want to start off with a track that was produced back in 2001 by an artist named Pastor Troy, and it is Vice Versa. It is one of the most, I think, underrated tracks ever made. It had a lot of popularity in the charts back then, but once again, here at Black Men in Suits, Urban Nation, the Uncut Truth, our position is to talk about the miseducation of the Negro and how this song relates to the Certified Music Society. Is going to be how the lyrics, just the lyrics of that song in itself, is prolific. It is very much so real, relatable, and there's a lot of uncut truth to that track. So here's a shout out to Brother Pastor Troy. In the episode of Black Men in Suits, Urban Nation, the Uncut Truth, that we're going to talk about Vice Versa. Yo, what's up, my people? Man, let's get into it. Let's get into this one. I want to talk about my brother Pastor Troy. It was a track he did called Vice Versa. And I remember I was listening to Brother David Banner the other day, one of my home city, hometown idols. And he was mentioning on the podcast, he was like, man, I don't think Troy realized the magnitude of that track. I'm sure Troy has some kind of essence of it. But I kind of agree with my brother David with this one, man. And it's like, Brother Pastor Troy is just a great artist. He's a great lyricist, and he's an intelligent black man. And but the magnitude that I think that Vice Versa should have been on, it has truly downsized or down pocketed his energy levels with that track. And I'm gonna put this in perspective because I agree with Brother David Banner. That song, and I'm sure when Brother Troy wrote that, he meant every single word. And his point in it was just imagine if with everything you've been told, what if it's the opposite? So you think about it, everything you've been told, everything you read, everything you listen to, everything you see. What if the true message for what you hear is the total opposite? That cannot be no further from the truth. And I'm going to tell you why. Let's just be real. There are plenty of messages and passages, so especially if we talk about a biblical sense, that truly breaks down to you that earth is not heaven. We know that, right? But one thing for sure it is, it's hell. I want you to think about the most foulest thing that will make your heart turn if you heard about it. And everybody is different, so to each his own. But just think about the most foulest thing that a human can do that would just turn your stomach. Here's a reality check. It happens and is happening. Whatever you just thought of is happening somewhere on this planet Earth. Think about that. It's happening somewhere. And it's not just happening in a one all sense, where it's like that's the only time it's happening, only time it will happen. It has happened many times before, and it's happening because we have billions of people on this planet. The chance of it happening on a percentage of 30% is greater than it would be on a lower scale. It's happening, man. So, in the lyrics of Pastor Troy's song Vice Versa, what if Earth is hell and you're trying to find your way to heaven? What if you have to be an animal here? What if you have to be a beast here? What if you have to be arrogant, tough, rude, because all in the sake of you having to try to protect your friends, your family, etc. What if you have to be a certain way here to survive? And that way that society say what you have to do to survive, they say is unacceptable. But society collectively will say that's unacceptable because there's a portion of society that gets to agree on that. The ones that get to agree on that do not have to experience certain dynamics. So they have the room and the opportunity to discuss and disagree and agree on those things because they're not busy dealing with it. If that makes sense what I'm saying. They're not busy dealing with the struggles. So the ones who do voice their opinion, they hadn't went through a certain struggle. They have not. And that's true. When they get these collective reports and these statistics, a lot of these statistics come from people who never experienced. A big percentage of those statistics are coming from people who haven't experienced the nature of a certain situation. Now, when we dig into some of the depths of the lyrics, I remember when Pastor Troy made a comment about Mary in the Immaculate Conception. And that was, he was like, yeah, she may not have had sex, but there's a order to childbirth. There's an order to childbirth. Yeah, yeah, your words, what we're being told is saying that she has never done that. But what if the theology of it is verbatim? That yes, she may have been a virgin, but her first was her husband. Think about that, Joseph. But because they never break, because it never goes to that, Pastor Troy, in his lyrics with that, he talks about, he's kind of candid. He was just like, this may be kind of like uh, you know, a little censorship there, but he was just kind of like, well, yeah, she sucked some dick. So his point with that was that she did something. Something transpired in order for her to get pregnant with Jesus. It didn't happen. And let's be quantumly real here. It did not happen out of air. So this is very deep because now it kind of dives into, it dissects a lot of what people believe in, what you believe. Now, it doesn't doubt what you believe, it just dissects it. And that's what's important. It doesn't doubt what you believe, it just dissects it. Because let's be honest, there has to be there has to be a process. There is a process. you know. Now, you could be one of those people who believe that there wasn't a process, and it was just by a kind of a seahorse kind of thing. But even with seahorses, even though they're asexual, there's still a biological process within them that creates that life. You know what I'm saying? So now, do we study the true identity of Sister Mary? Right? You have to dissect that. Now, because it's not a religious uh, point, I'm not going to dive into too much depth of that. But the point is, uh, just correlating with brother Troy when he was talking about vice versa, he was referencing to what if everything you've been told is the total opposite. And as I deliver some of the uncut truth, and I tell you this, it is written that earth is here. This is the story of our reality, of our experiences. Everybody with our experience have the same experiences, but that is the purpose. Because we all do not have the same experiences. We all of us are here. Those are here to share our experiences, whether it's every depth of it. And we're here to socialize, communicate. Someone has a horrible experience and you have not had that experience. When you meet that person, because it happens, it is your duty to show that person that there is a better life. There's a better experience, right? Not necessarily a better life, but there's a better experience. And vice versa. You know, there's some people who they feel like their life is plain, more exciting. But the purpose of socialization is that you may meet somebody who has level of excitement in their life, and you learn from them, and vice versa. You know, but be, but because of the nature of us as human beings, it's so deep. Is so much more psychological than some words can put it, because action speaks volumes. So you have to kind of like, in many ways, you have to be a person that's kind of like, you have to be able to understand the balance of the two, no matter which side of the field you're on, no matter which side of the paper you're on. You have to get to a point of maturity, and that's where the term maturity truly resonates, because at that point you begin to understand the differences between everything. But to bring it back to the vice versa conversation, is that the reality that we live is not what we have been told, and that is the uncut truth. The reality is dark, it's dangerous, it's scary, it's diabolical, but it's also serenity, peace, tranquility, utopia. That's the battle of the vice versa, is because the uncut truth of it is that it is vice and versa. It's both. It's combined. Everything is all in one. Earth, hell, and heaven is here on this planet. It's all in your experience. But the beauty of humankind is that you can experience both. You can experience hell and you can fucking experience heaven. You can't experience both. You can have that experience, that mental experience. But for many people, it requires the vice versa, meaning that for some people, their life has to start off in hell. They're going to meet people on their way that have the opportunity to teach them and show them a different way, and vice versa. But do we listen? Do we pay attention? Do we absorb our experiences in the reality the way we should have absorbed them? And do we appreciate them in a way we should appreciate them? I take this into a liking of, we'll give you an example of a person who has been through bad relationships all their life. But then you meet somebody that is good for you. They may not be your exact, they may not be your fantasy. And let's think about it. Fantasy is a fallacy. Is a fallacy. They may not be your fantasy, but they're everything to you, right? You still care for them. You love them. You like who they are. You know what I'm saying? And they're here to, and they come into your life to show you something different, regardless of what their difference is. Now, determine if that difference is essential to your life or detrimental to your life, is to each his own, right? Because once you become an adult, you know right from wrong, regardless of your upbringing, regardless of the environments you've been around. You know what feel good and doesn't feel good. You know that. You know what happy people is and what not happy people is. You know what happiness is and you know what sadness is. At a certain age in your life, you know that. It's no longer, you're no longer a toddler where you don't, you don't correlate the two. And but everybody's experiences is different. And it's how we embrace it. So in hindsight, right? My brother Troy may have been making a song and a track about, uh, you know, and again, his lyrics is would have, you know, what if hell was heaven and heaven was hell? You know, could you tell? How could you tell? What is vice versa, right? And the uncut truth is that it is that. Earth is that. It is vice versa. We are living in hell and heaven at the same time. It is the yin and the yang. But those two experiences have its values. One is very mental, and the other is very physical. But they have shared opportunities in both. So it's like there are many people who will take the experiences they had that may seem bad to others, and it's a bad experience for them, but they absorb that experience and they say to themselves in their maturity, I don't want to experience that pain ever again. I don't want to experience that hurt ever again. I don't want to experience that negativity ever again, that low vibration ever again. And then they move on as they mature. They seek out more higher levels, but they both exist on the same plane. And that's the uncut truth of it. So absolutely, we all play a part in it. So although so in essence, when you meet somebody new or current or in the past, just understand that who you are, how you see life, can truly affect that person because how you interact with them creates a shared experience for them in your life. This is an experience. How they experience you is how they see life. And that's essential to know, you know, to think about, but to also swallow in an internalization of our own dynamics is to understand that whether something going great for you right now, that ain't the true depths of reality. That's your reality and that's your experience at the moment. But that's not the reality for billions more, and vice versa. You may have some real terrible stuff going on in your life, but that's not reality. It is your experience, right? But there is a beauty outside. There is a opposite of what you're experiencing. How you how you get to cross over to each one is to each his own. But one thing is for sure is that you have to have a true and innate responsibility to yourself, to that you do not accept anything subpar of your for your experience. Life happens, things will happen, and that's okay. It doesn't make you imperfect because no one is perfect. But you move on, and it don't matter if you had the same experience several times over. You keep trying, you keep fighting, and you keep the positive aspect of understanding that there is a opposite side to it, no matter what. So you keep pushing to get that experience that you desire. If there's happiness, you keep pushing for it because it does exist. But because the two, in relation to the lyrics of the song, because we live in the melting pot of both dynamics, the reality is, how do you determine the vice versa? Yo, I'm your host Sam J, man, and this is another episode of Black Men Suits Urban Nation, the Uncut Truth. And I got a couple more good ones for you guys. And man, a lot of the stuff that I'm going to share in the future, just understand that we're at a pivotal point of the separation, and that it's time. It's time that there is that we absorb, and we hear something organic, something real, something that is relatable to both sides, both dynamics, all areas of concepts, but that focus on the uncut truth.